This is Cashflow Ninja, episode 112 with Nelson Nash.
Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast empowering and inspiring people to discover how to generate their own income and manage, grow, and protect their own wealth in the new economy. Now, here is your host, MC Laubscher.
Hello everyone, MC Laubscher here, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. In today's show, I have a very special guest, Mr. Nelson Nash. Mr. Nelson Nash is the discoverer and developer of the infinite banking concept and the author of Becoming Your Own Banker. Mr. Nash remains a popular teacher and lecturer on the infinite banking concept through dividend-paying whole life insurance. A native of Georgia, Mr. Nash received a BS degree in Forestry from the University of Georgia in 1952. From 1954 to 1963, Mr. Nash worked as a consulting forester in eastern North Carolina. During more than 35 years' experience as a life insurance agent, Mr. Nash worked with the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the U.S. and with The Guardian. Recognized for his high achievements, Mr. Nash was inducted as a Hall of Fame member by Equitable, a Chartered Life Underwriter, and life member of the $1 Million Round Table. A pilot for 60 years, Mr. Nash flew with the Army National Guard and earned Master Aviator wings during his 30 years of military service. We're going to talk about many topics and concepts today, including economic philosophies and approaches, how it's all about how you think, navigating your environment that you and your family operate in, the idea and concept of retirement, how important a journey of lifelong learning is, the constant noise of the environment we operate in, and how to get your own personal financial noise-canceling headphones, and of course the infinite banking concept strategy, and much, much more. We have discussed the infinite banking strategy and how to reclaim the banking function within our own life using a system that utilizes dividend-paying whole life insurance with a mutual insurance company. I've covered many areas pertaining to the infinite banking concept strategy and have a library of interviews and episodes at cashflowninja.com where I discuss how to use the strategy as part of your overall wealth plan, boosting your investment gains, business strategies that includes the infinite banking concept strategy, how to plan for your children and grandchildren's college without sacrificing your own savings and wealth, legacy planning, and I would also highly recommend episode 103 with Jimmy Freeland and Bob Scott from Joint Ops Properties, where they discuss how they use the infinite banking concept strategy in their personal and business economy daily. Please share your feedback and thoughts with me on today's interview. You can let me know your thoughts on Twitter by tweeting me at MC Laubscher or by email at info@cashflowninja.com. And please remember to join our mailing list by signing up at cashflowninja.com or texting Cashflow Ninja, one word, all capitalized, to 44222. That's 2 4s and 3 2s. Have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Are you interested in real estate investing and don't know where to start and how to get the results you want? For valuable information to get you started, visit Joint Ops Properties at jointopsproperties.com. Globally, coffee is a $90 billion industry, and International Coffee Farms offers a sustainable income opportunity through offshore sustainable agriculture. You can own a parcel of your very own cash-flowing specialty coffee farm in Panama. For more information on this income opportunity, you can download your free report at cashflowninja.com/Panama. Listeners of the Cashflow Ninja can also grab a free audiobook download from Audible when you try Audible for 30 days. You can grab your free audiobook download at cashflowninjabook.com. Mr. Nash, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Can you please share a little bit about your background and your journey?
Oh, boy, where do I start? I grew up in Athens, Georgia, went to school at the University of Georgia. I walked to school. I was educated as a forester. I worked privately for 10 years in forestry consulting, and then made a career change into life insurance in 1964.
Fantastic. And things were certainly different back then, especially how people were thinking too. And thinking has changed a lot. And you've spoken about the importance of how important that piece of real estate between your two ears is. Can you speak to the way that we think and some of the advice that you've shared, and also share a little bit about the three economic philosophies and theories that influence the thinking of people on this planet and how this influences their daily lives?
Yeah. Well, again, hark back to the fact that I'm educated as a forester. I think long range. MC, I think 70 years down the road. I'm not going to be here, neither are you. But so what? Plan it if you're going to live forever. Live as if you're going to die today is a pretty good idea. But the idea of thinking long range is a lost art in America today. The other thing from the forestry background is that I learned to classify things. There were at least 6 courses in the forestry school that involved classification. Dendrology, the study of classification of trees, lasted all year long. So you classify things on the basis of the major characteristics. But what really is my forte, if there is such a thing, is my study of Austrian economics. That started 60 years ago as a result of my experience after getting out of the Air Force for a couple of years during the Korean conflict. Well, I came face to face with the world of socialism. I really didn't know anything about socialism, but I saw the mental paralysis that it caused, and that led me to get started studying the Austrian economics, and so that has been my passion since that time. On my website, infinitebanking.org, there is a reading list of 375 books currently, and if you read all 375, you have one PhD in Austrian economics and one PhD in history. MC, there's no way you can study economics without studying history. And so this has been my passion that gets me to thinking differently from the way that most folks think.
And the prevailing thought right now and the philosophy that's out there is the Keynesian economic theory. Can you talk a little bit about what this has done and the impact of the Keynesian economics to where we are today, and then just share a little bit about how Austrians view the current state of affairs as it is?
Yeah, the world is totally fascinated by the Keynesian thought process. Essentially, it amounts to just top-down thinking that you can get rich by spending, and there's no way. And so the world today is in the grip of that idea, and it's the worst financial circumstance of all time. This is caused by bankers. Bankers cause the problem. They inflate the money supply big time. People think they have something, and they don't. It's all an illusion. It's not based on fact at all. Only the Austrians have got it right. I got my start with Austrian economics with the Foundation for Economic Education. It used to be located right up the Hudson there from you in Irvington, New York. It is now located in Atlanta, Georgia. And out of that came the Mises Institute, which is located in Auburn, Alabama. It's not part of Auburn University. It's a private think tank, and those two are the best in the world. The Austrians are the only ones that got it right. that bankers have caused the problem. Only banks can inflate the money supply. And so inflation is what has created all of our problem. Well, being the forester and being able to classify things correctly, so forth, when I got into the life insurance business, it wasn't long before I saw that the insurance folks have got it all backward. That your need for finance during your lifetime is much greater than your need for protection. And if you saw for your need for finance during your lifetime, you'll end up with so much life insurance that you can't get it past the underwriters. That the warehouse of the medium of exchange, i.e., money, it should be in the under the control of lots and lots of life insurance companies, a place where it cannot inflate the money supply. But this is not registered because of the grip that the Keynesian ideas have on the entire world.
That brings me to my next question about reclaiming the banking function within your own life and unlocking the infinite banking function. So today, the banking function within the economy is predominantly held and implemented by the banks and financial institutions, but this wasn't the case a couple of years ago. The banking function years ago was held at the individual level at one time. Can you speak to the changes and to that?
Well, so much of this really got its impetus after World War II. There was a big change of thought process there that really caused all the mess. You can trace it back about 80 years, MC. But before that time, life insurance was very much the primary source of people's repository of the medium of exchange. It had much more respect. But after World War II came along, here came this whole idea of we got to do something with all these GIs that were coming off active duty. Several million. They said, that's going to ruin the economy. Well, that was the thought process of the socialist mindset, and they were wrong. But they were the ones who were in control at that time of the intellectual community. And so they said, we got to give them something to do. And so let's send them to college. That way we'll let them be able to work their way into the economy over a period of time, and that will increase our intellectual capital. Well, the truth was, MC, it turned out diploma mills. Today, education, as we call it, is not education at all. It's indoctrination, and the tragedy is that we started getting financial geniuses then. People that swallowed all the Keynesian stuff big time. Well, all you got to do is secede from that. What I discovered is if I could crank up lots of life insurance policies, that would give me access to the financial needs of life, and that's a place that cannot inflate the money supply. And so at the time I discovered all this was about 35 years ago, and I was subject to thinking like the world thinks. I got caught back there in the early 80s owing a lot of money at 23% interest in the real estate business. And I saw at that time that that was wrong, that I could get the money during those times at 5, 6, and 8% from 3 different life insurance companies. But I had to crank up lots of life insurance policies in order to do so. Well, to shorten the story, it took me 13 years to get enough money in to pay off all the banks. But my wife and I have not seen a bank in 24 years now. And MC, that is a very peaceful, stress-free way of life that anybody can do, but they've got to change their thinking.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you speak about as well is navigating your environment, which is so important. And can you speak about how important it is to navigate your environment? And I believe you've used a fantastic analogy in one of your talks about an airplane and flying an airplane, explaining that.
Yes, I have been an airplane pilot for 70 years. There are not too many of us around that I learned as a teenager that you can't fly an airplane through a vacuum. And so in my seminars, I pointed out the results of my research that the typical American today is spending almost 35 cents out of every dollar that's spendable on interest alone to all the banking communities. And so I have an analogy of let's say this same person was saving 10% of whatever he makes, and that's a bald-faced lie because our savings rate is nowhere near that right now. And so 10 BMC would be positive, the 35 would be a negative, right?
Right.
Well, to make it more plausible in the airplane world, let's just move the decimal one place right. That would be 350 miles an hour headwind, and let's say 100 mile an hour airspeed. Okay, and so let's look at the map of the United States. In Birmingham, Alabama, where I live, is just due south of Chicago. Let's say that you were going to go in this 100 mile an hour airplane to Chicago, but you got to go through the headwind that's 350 miles an hour, and so your ground speed is a negative 260. That environment there is more important than anything. Well, let the air mass move on. They all do. The highs in the northern hemisphere turn clockwise, and they move west to east, generally speaking. Okay, now let's let the air mass move on, and now it's centered over Indianapolis, Indiana. There is no wind in the center of that thing. Get in the same airplane, and now you're covering the ground at 100 miles an hour. And here's where the mindset really comes into play. People have the arrival syndrome. You know, we can't do any better than this. We don't have any headwind. That's equivalent to saying that the solution to all our financial problems is to get out of debt. No one addresses the fact that let the air mass move on. Now it's centered over Washington, D.C. There's a tailwind now of 350 miles an hour to a 100 mile an hour airplane. Your ground speed's 400 miles an hour. It's the same airplane in all three of those circumstances. But people don't understand that you can get a perpetual tailwind in the financial world, everything that you do, by just simply getting in the banking business. And the easiest way to get in the banking business is through free contract with other free people. And that's just a short definition of what life insurance really is.
Absolutely. It's a private contract and a free voluntary contract between you and the insurance company, which is a fantastic place to warehouse your wealth, as you've spoken about, because there truly is one big pool of money out there.
Yes.
And one of the ways that we can reclaim the own banking function within our own lives is to capture some of that pool of money in our own personal economy utilizing life insurance vehicles.
And one thing is extremely important here, probably most important of all, and the fact that the law of contracts prevails.
Right.
See, all other things come and go out there. government nonsense and so forth comes and goes, but the law of contracts prevails. When you destroy the law of contracts, MC, you've destroyed civilization.
Absolutely. Now, you've shared a little bit about how you got into trouble with real estate investments, and then you provided a solution, which is what I love about this, because, we see what's going out there with the Keynesian economic mindset, and the infinite banking strategy provides a really solid solution that, as you've mentioned, provides a stress-free approach to money. So I always look at it and say, if the majority of people are doing the same thing and not having success, let's take a look at the smaller percentage of folks, what they're doing and having success and building wealth and be able to transfer wealth successfully to future generations. And that's one of the things that it's really fulfilling to see that. And one thing that you've implemented in your own life too, with infinite banking policies on your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. What does this mean for them, just having this in their lives and learning from a very young age to do this and how this works?
Well, that's my long-range thinking again there that comes from the forestry background. I thought that we could create kind of financial perpetual motion, I guess is the best way to describe it, by thinking intergenerationally and teaching this to the next generation. But the caveat is that our so-called educational system out there is producing mindsets that have to be overcome with the younger generation nowadays. It's noise, and they don't know how to cancel out noise. So it is a difficult thing, but it's just one of the possibilities that are there. We have 3 children, 10 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren, and a 7th one is due most any day now. And the 8th one is due back coming up in June. So, MC, I got to buy some more life insurance here in the next few weeks on that new little great-grandson that's coming. And then I'll have to buy some more come June. Well, the grandparents, my children, they always match what I'm doing. And so this produces a totally different environment in which the children can live. The biggest debt out there today is student debt. That's a big con game is what it amounts to. But none of our grandchildren have student debts. And they have enough cash payers now that if they keep doing what I'm talking about, they'll never see a bank in their life.
That's extremely powerful, and that's one way just of legacy planning and just positioning your family and future generations because of that long-term thinking that you had discussed. And a great way to increase your net worth and your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren's net worth. It truly is so powerful and so inspiring. And Mr. Nash, you've had close to about 50 of these policies at one stage, correct?
I had 49 at one time, but that's another very important thing. In just 3 weeks, I'll be 86 years old, and I've outlived everybody in my family by 2.5 years already. So graduation time is not all that far off for me. But this is a great way to transfer the medium of exchange, money, from one generation to another. So at this stage of life, MC, we're getting rid of things. You can't take this stuff with you. Good grief. But you can transfer policies to the other generations that are coming along under a great tax advantage. And so we're down to 24 policies now.
You're listening to Nelson Nash on the Cashflow Ninja podcast. We will be right back after a word from our sponsor. International Coffee Farms is a real estate-based specialty coffee farm ownership opportunity. You can own deeded, half-acre parcels in title, already operating specialty coffee farms in Boguete, Panama. They are turnkey managed professionally on your behalf by a team of local experts with sustainable average income of 12% and with cash flow beginning in 12 to 15 months from the date of your parcel ownership. International Coffee Farms' mission is to own and operate specialty coffee farms in Boguete, Panama that are economically, environmentally, and socially sustainable. As part of this mission, 20% of the gross profits of each farm goes towards a socially sustainable fund to improve the lives of the coffee farm workers and their families. International Coffee Farms currently owns and operates 8 specialty coffee farms in Boguete, Panama, with parcels available for immediate ownership. To find out how you can become a parcel owner, you can download your free income opportunity report at cashflowninja.com/Panama. You're listening to Nelson Nash on the Cashflow Ninja podcast, and now back to our interview. Yeah, you said the stress-free earlier too, and money is a very, very big source of stress for people. So, and it does affect every other area of your life. So, if the conventional financial advice from all the media sources and pundits and experts works so well, then why are so many people that are following their advice in the conventional way of thinking and financial planning, why are they experiencing such high levels of stress when it comes to money?
Well, that's the human frailty out there. People have a tendency to listen to noise. There have been all kind of philosophers down through the years that have warned people against this, but that the human condition continues forever, apparently. That's the tragedy. But again, one of the biggest causes for this catastrophe is the so-called education. It's not education, it's indoctrination. And people listen to that stuff. And it's not necessary at all. Good grief. Leonard Reed was the guy who started the Foundation for Economic Education back in 1946. And I got acquainted with FEE and with him personally. He was my personal friend and mentor. But anyway, he had no degrees from anywhere. Neither did Henry Hazlitt, his co-founder. Neither did Herbert Spencer in England years before that. Well, look, those guys didn't have access to the information that we have out there today. Now, there's a lot of trash out there on the internet, of course, but there's also some fantastic stuff. A person that wants education can get a fabulous education just simply on the internet on a few websites.
Yeah, no, there's so many resources out there, and it's I love what you've said before too, that we don't arrive in knowledge. It's ongoing and learning constantly, and you're a absolute fantastic example of that. The other concept that I talk about on the show, tons of concepts that and try to break them down and really try and see what they mean. The one of retirement, and you are you're still going out there teaching, sharing your knowledge, educating, going around the country. It's been truly inspiring to see you. What are some of your thoughts on the concept of retirement as it is presented in today's environment?
That's got to be the stupidest idea I have ever heard of. I've been a Christian since I was 9 years old. I've studied the Bible extensively for a long, long time. There's nothing in the Bible about Moses retiring and living happily thereafter. The word retirement doesn't even appear in the vocabulary of human beings until 1890, and that was Bismarck in Germany. They were the ones who gave us the idea of Social Security. Would you believe that he set a retirement age for Germans as 70 years old? And life expectancy was less than 50 for the average German. odds are he'd never collect it. Well, 1916 comes along, and we're right in the midst of World War One. Bismarck is dead, and they reduce the retirement age to 65. And that's where Franklin D. Roosevelt got age 65 for our Social Security in 1937. And life expectancy for American males at that time was only about 61. And now it's 78 or 79. Get real. There's no way the thing can work. It's impossible. The reason I know this is because of my Christian upbringing and my ability to classify things that I was telling you about from Forestry school. When you classify all these programs that governments have, MC, they're nothing but man trying to play God in the pagan sense of the word. And the book of Exodus tells you very plainly, God is a jealous God. He won't put up with that stuff. And so they always fall apart. But man in his hubris can't get that through his thick head.
And staying on the topic of a journey of lifelong learning, what you've done, what are you currently studying? And what are you researching? Because I know you're working on another book as well. So what are some of the things that you're looking and studying right now?
Well, I've begun my work on the book, It's All About How You Think. Now, it's going to be in 2 parts. I've written the first chapter, which is rather lengthy, to lay groundwork, and then there's about 7 more chapters that I've already got that are fairly short, just examples of what was discussed in the first chapter. But the second part is going to be all from the Bible. There are 4,000 years in the Old Testament, and it's a pattern of top-down thinking. That idea has just completely consumed the thought process of most human beings. Well, there's 400 years of silence between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Nothing was written that was apropos to the central message of the Bible. But the New Testament, most folks are startled by the fact that it covers about 75 years. And it's a secession from top-down thinking. It's bottom-up thinking. Don't think the way the hierarchy out there conducts their lives. But forget them. You know, it is so apparent to me that I do not watch the news now. I haven't watched the news in 4 months, and I will not watch it ever again in my life because it's not news, it's propaganda.
Right.
Yuri Morsev is a Russian that was on Gorbachev's staff back there when it was evident to them that communism can't work. They decided they were going to go free market. And so they were looking around for an economist that knew something about it, and there stood Yuri. Well, 18 months or so on the job of Gorbachev's staff, he saw that they were pretending, that they didn't really mean it, that they were trying to ease into it or something like that with all that excess baggage of the nonsense of communism. So he escaped 007 style through Finland and ended up in Washington, D.C. Anyway, he started writing here and publishing through the Mises Institute at Auburn. And so I had been reading his stuff for a couple of years before I ever got to meet him. And that was at a conference over in Charleston, South Carolina. And the subject of the conference was secession. And so what I'm trying to get across to people is they've got to secede from the way they think. You don't have to do things through that top-down nonsense IRS codes and stuff like that. We never have had a tax-qualified plan of any kind. Tax-qualified plans are all functions of the IRS code. Well, the IRS code has only been around since 1913. Now, life insurance has been around a little bit longer than the United States has existed. Again, it stood the test of time. And these other stuff here, they come and go. Well, if you look at what's really going on with the IRS, I don't know anybody who's ever read the IRS code, but I do know this. The first 9 pages of the code explain income, and the next 1,100 pages describe exceptions to the code. So, being the guy who can classify things, I can tell you very quickly, all I've got to do is just read about 3 of those exceptions to the code, and I know what the rest of them are going to say. Same sort of thing. So, so I coined this phrase, MC. When government creates a problem, onerous taxation, end quote, and then turns around and grants you an exception to the problem they created in your tax-qualified plan, aren't you just a little bit suspicious you're being manipulated? They aren't there to help you. They're there to make a slave out of you and control the way you think, that your blessings come from them. And they don't. They're the ones who created the problem. So this is radical thinking. I know that it's not like everybody else thinks out there, but it sure is peaceful and stress-free.
No, absolutely, and I agree with you, because that is a big mindset change when, you know, when I consult with clients and speak with them too about setting up these plans. It's a completely different approach to wealth planning and long-range thinking, as you've mentioned before, where it's your money. You can access it at any time, you know,
Sure.
because with qualified retirement plans, I feel the mindset too is we're so used to being told exactly what we can and cannot do and how you can access and when you can access it and what the penalties are. So
Yeah.
it's a completely different mindset switch when you approach it through this strategy and approach. So it definitely does take a shifting in paradigm and your thinking.
Yes, and you see, you got to be able to recognize the noise out there. See, let's go back to Yuri Molsev. He's a personal friend. He's been house guest a couple of times, and I've been to his place in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where he's professor of economics at Carthage College there. But Yuri said at one time, no one watches television in Russia because they know what they're going to say. Well, I know what's the so-called news that we have today by the major media out there. I know what they're going to say. It's nonsense. And all the commercials that are out there, they are espousing you need to be involved in a government program of some kind to prepare for your retirement. Well, let's go back also to this idea of retirement. Erasing that idea from the mind, I think, is very healing. The last 20 years of my life have been the most rewarding of all, psychologically and wise and otherwise. So I think that you should always be learning. You should always be in a assisting mode of some kind out there, because there's too many people that are they're intellectually hungry, and I'm convinced that when you find somebody that's intellectually hungry, it's your duty to feed them.
No, absolutely. And back to your point of the government creating the problem and then offering solution. You mentioned earlier about your grandchildren and great-grandchildren that that don't have to go into debt to borrow to go to colleges. I mean, look at the over $1 trillion, and again, let's offer a qualified plan, a 529 plan, to put the money in vehicles that is right there for confiscation by Wall Street and fees and so forth. So creating a problem again and then offering the solution.
Yeah, well, you see, that's the easiest place that the government can steal the money. I was doing a seminar in Pocatello, Idaho, here a few years ago, and I was pointing out that the dangers of having money like that years ago, Brazil went out in the boonies in the jungle and built a new capital city, Brasilia. MC, where'd they get the money? They confiscated the reserves on all the pension plans. That's the easiest money they can get to. And then I reiterated it or reinforced it rather, by saying Argentina did the same thing. And there was a young man in the group there who grew up in Buenos Aires, and he spoke up and says, yes, every 5 years, the fund builds up and gotcha. The fund builds up, gotcha. People never learn.
It's back to Willie Sutton's law, right?
You got that right. Easiest money they can get to.
Yes, for the new listeners, I've spoken about Willie Sutton's law before on the show too. When one of the most famous bank robbers in the United States, when they finally caught up to Willie and asked him why he robbed banks, he said, "Well, that's where the money is."
Yep, easiest place.
No,
they got it all there in one source. You can just grab it.
Exactly. Now, Mr. Nash, a core message in our show, too, is to leave our families, communities, and the world better than we found it by passing down, as we discussed, a mindset, values, and principles to future generations, not just money. So if you cannot pass on any money to future generations and we're only allowed to pass on 3 principles to them to build wealth and achieve happiness and success, what would they be?
Well, they must study and understand what a powerful thing the idea of life insurance is. It is the law of contracts, and the law of contracts prevails, and this is a place where they cannot inflate the money supply, and inflation in the money supply is what's created all the problems out there. They've got to change the way that they think, and they've got to realize that they're being fed indoctrination instead of real education. I classify all that stuff that's going on out there big time as noise, and you got to be able to recognize noise for what it is. Quite often in a seminar, I take along my Bose noise-canceling headset and tell them about how wonderful it is that I can put those little styrofoam type things, sponge things in my ears, and then put on that headset and then turn it on, and then that baby crying 3 rows up there doesn't mean a thing while I'm reading my book. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had a financial noise-canceling headset?
That would be wonderful.
Yes, but there is no such thing. But they can construct their own financial noise-canceling headsets through the works of folks like you. You're out there where the rubber meets the road. You're out there where people are getting this applied in their daily lives and coaching them as time goes by. Because one thing that is absolutely necessary is that making the transition from the way the world thinks to the way I'm talking about thinking requires a coach. They can't do it by themselves because of the noise that is overwhelming out there. People have a tendency to listen to that sort of nonsense. And it's people like you that are one of our practitioners of the Nelson Nash Institute that can teach them how to build their own financial noise-canceling headset. And that's an ongoing project, but boy, is it rewarding in every way, financially, spiritually, everywhere.
No, absolutely, and especially with the long-range thinking and planning long-term, because there are so many shiny little objects out there daily, as you mentioned, the noise to distract folks and to distract you from what you're doing and your legacy and your strategy for your life.
Yes, that's the entire object of the effort here, is to get enough people to doing this to understand that this is the way to go, that when we get 10% of the population to understand this, then it will become viral.
Absolutely. Mr. Nash, how can my audience learn more about you and the Nelson Nash Institute and stay informed of all of the projects that you're involved with?
Yeah, go to our website, infinitebanking.org, and there is a huge amount of information that's available there, including videos and webinars and things of that nature. Also, for them to get acquainted with FEE.org, that's Foundation for Economic Education, FEE.org. Mises, MISES.org. That's the Ludwig von Mises Institute down at Auburn. There's the guy that started that institution is Lew Rockwell, LEWROCKWELL.com, LewRockwell.com. Now, that's a good start, but by all means, start attacking those 375 books on my reading list. It's under the resources tab of our website, infinitebanking.org. Now, 375 books looks formidable, but you do know how to eat an elephant, don't you, MC?
One bite at a time.
Yep. Well, just one book at a time.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Nash, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your journey and your knowledge and just your wisdom around all of these topics, and such as the retirement and noise and our environment and how to navigate that. And thank you so much for all of the information that you put out there constantly and the ideas that you share. You've truly been a mentor to me and continue to inspire me daily.
Well, thank you very much for letting me be on your show. I see that you could throw a rock and you'd hit New Jersey, right?
That's right.
Now, come October, you will learn that the Mises Institute is having their 35th anniversary in New York City. So that's something that they could look into, that since they're close to New York City.
Absolutely. That would be a fantastic event. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. This was a fantastic experience.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and you have a good day.
Hi, this is MC Laubscher, the host of the Cash Flow Ninja podcast. As you may know, I'm also the president and chief wealth strategist of Valhalla Wealth Financial. We help individuals, families, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals build their wealth outside of Wall Street and help investors maximize the use of every dollar in their personal economy and boost their investment gains. We do this by combining their capital and investments with the financial vehicle of the wealthy, according to the infinite banking concept. If you are interested in learning more, you can email me at info@cashflowninja.com and I will send you a copy of Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. Thank you for joining my guest, Mr. Nelson Nash, and myself on the Cashflow Ninja today. If you like what you hear and appreciate what we're trying to build here at the Cashflow Ninja, please subscribe, rate, and review our show on iTunes and share our show with family, friends, and your network. I'm always trying to learn and improve in every area of my life, so if there's any way that I can provide more value to you and serve you better, please reach out to me at info@cashflowninja.com. Jimmy Freeland and Bob Scott have been in your shoes and have used real estate investing to become financially free. They have designed a system to take any beginner to an experienced deal-making investor in the least amount of time. They offer opportunities from basic education, coaching, bridge loan investing to turnkey investments in the cash flowing market of St. Louis, Missouri. For more information, please visit joinupsproperties.com or call Jimmy and Bob at 314-799-2247. Coffee is a proven product and a $90 billion industry worldwide. Through international coffee farms, you have a chance to own and operate your own half-acre parcels in a specialty coffee farm in Panama, professionally turnkey managed for you. You can download your coffee farm ownership opportunity report at cashflowninja.com/Panama. That's our show for today, everyone. Until next time, live a life of passion and purpose on your terms.
You have been listening to the Cash Flow Ninja with your host, MC Laubscher, the podcast empowering and inspiring people to discover how to generate their own income and manage, grow, and protect their own wealth in the new economy. Today's show notes and resources are available on our website, cashflowninja.com. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.